This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Tariff hikes, reaction to U.S. President Donald Trump's latest salvo in his trade war with Canada. Fares cut. As of today, it is cheaper to take a ferry to visit other Atlantic provinces. And the Eagles have landed. Look who's making themselves at home at one Mineville property.
An absolutely terrific holiday-long weekend, lots of sunshine, warm temperatures. All the details are coming up.
Good evening. We begin with the escalation of Donald Trump's trade war against this country. Despite every effort by Canada and months of negotiating, a new and higher U.S. tariff is now in effect for some Canadian goods. The U.S. president following through on his threat to hike tariffs on some Canadian imports from 25% to 35%. Premier Tim Houston reacted today, saying he's optimistic that Ottawa will continue to push for a better deal.
We have to get past this. I mean, I'm putting faith in the Prime Minister and his team that we'll get to the right deal for Canada. We don't want to rush into a bad deal that we're stuck with. We know there's a lot of volatility with the administration and with the president, so it's hard to say what will stand anyway. But we have to stand up for Canada, and we're counting on the federal government to get us to a better place.
Houston says the province is continuing to keep American alcohol off shelves and limit access to provincial procurement for American businesses. One industry Washington is focusing on is Canada's dairy. While it falls under CUSMA regulations, Trump says the deal is unfair to his country's producers. The CBC's Brett Ruskin spoke to dairy farmers here in Nova Scotia.
This is one of hundreds of dairy farms across Nova Scotia, one of thousands across the country. Now, the dairy industry is CUSMA compliant. It allows for the American exporters to have 3.6% of the Canadian market before they face any tariffs. Now, do the American exports to Canada here come close to that threshold? Not really. So they're not facing any tariffs as a result of those dairy products coming here to Canada. Even so, Donald Trump has been complaining about the regulations around the dairy industry and how there are barriers to having American dairy producers selling to the Canadian market, even though there's around $800 million worth of dairy products that come from the United States to Canada, around $300 million worth of Canadian dairy products that go south of the border. And so, again, the dairy industry not facing these new 35% additional tariffs. And so dairy farmers like the one that co-owns this farm here aren't too concerned about the ongoing trade tension. Have a listen.
I'm confident with dairy. Our federal government has told us that they really don't see this as part of our negotiation necessarily for our trade deal deadline for the Friday. It's probably more of let's see what we need to discuss during the CUSMA review, which we were part of for the CUSMA agreement for 2026. And so we'll let the facts play out and see what comes forward there.
So again, no new tariffs facing the dairy industry, not facing the same 35% tariffs that many other industries have woken up to today because the dairy industry is CUSMA compliant. However, because Donald Trump has placed this industry, the dairy industry, in his crosshairs with his posts, his tweets, his comments, talking about how the relationship is unfair, it doesn't mean it might not be part of possible conversations going forward in the future when it comes to trade talks. Brett Ruskin, CBC News, Middle Musquodoboit, Nova Scotia.
A child has been admitted to the IWK with measles. This is the first hospitalization connected to the cluster of cases in northern Nova Scotia. Public Health says it worked with the family before they went to the hospital, so there was no risk of exposure to other patients. The child is in stable condition. There are now 44 measles cases in the cluster. It started to spread after a trip to another part of Canada with a known outbreak. One of the 4 youths convicted in the killing of Ahmad al-Marak has been sentenced to 27 months of an intensive rehabilitation sentence. The first 10 months of the sentence will be spent in jail, with the remainder under close supervision in the community. He was 17 at the time of the attack. He's 18 now. He pleaded guilty to manslaughter. He did not stab al-Marak, but he did kick and punch him while he was lying on the floor of the parking garage at the Halifax shopping centre. He also pulled a knife to prevent al-Marak's friends from intervening. As of today, it will cost less to cross some provincial borders in Atlantic Canada. That's after an announcement by the federal government this week. It's a move that's being greeted with enthusiasm. Shayna Luck reports.
At the Route 16 diner on New Brunswick's side of the Confederation Bridge, they know all about the effect the bridge tolls have on their business. The owners freeze and sell their meals in many other locations, but never in nearby PEI. That's about to change.
We sell all of eastern New Brunswick, a little bit in Nova Scotia, but we couldn't sell in Prince Edward Island because it cost so much to ship it over.
As of today, the cost of crossing the Confederation Bridge from PEI to New Brunswick has dropped by more than half. The cost of federally funded ferries that link Atlantic Canada has also been cut in half. Business leaders believe the move will bring costs down and exports up.
You know, the high bridge tolls have really acted as an interprovincial tariff, so to speak, between the two provinces, increasing the cost of transport and final cost of goods on both sides.
The change makes good on a campaign pledge by the Prime Minister.
If we're going to build a stronger, more united economy, and we are doing that, we are going to need to make it more affordable to travel around this country.
And on the eve of the August long weekend, road travelers are getting ready to go.
You know, obviously it's better when the thing that you want to do is cheaper. I assume they're doing it to coerce people to travel around Canada, so it's working on me.
Travelers by sea say the same.
It's actually great because they weren't cheap before, but now they're half decent.
Certainly for like a family of 4 like us, it's a lot more affordable.
Oh yeah, we're actually talking about going a little farther next year, maybe. Once I get a little bit older. And cheaper trips mean more trips.
The federal government believes the move will save Canadians about $100 million in bridge and ferry fees per year, money it expects they will use to stimulate the economy by spending in other places. Shayna Luck, CBC News, Halifax.
And Ryan is here with the first look at the weather, and boy, oh boy, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's looking fantastic, really is. I know, yes, we do need the rain, and I know I'm going to hear from folks saying that, and I totally recognize that. We also have to recognize it's a long weekend. Folks have a lot of plans, a lot of outdoor plans, festivals. This may be the busiest weekend of the summer in terms of getting outside. And so with that in mind, it does look like a fantastic weekend. Temperatures are going to be in that 22 to 25 range across mainland Nova Scotia on Saturday. We'll be into the low 20s across Cape Breton. Really nice with light winds. Now for Sunday, a more pronounced southerly flow. And so we will see temperatures likely anywhere from 20 to 22 to 23 or 24 right along the Atlantic coastline. 24 to 27, maybe some 28s on the board for northern parts of the province. And that is going to be a similar story into Monday as well. Now for Monday, we will be watching a front approaching from the north, and that will bring the possibility of a shower into the afternoon on Monday. We'll dive into that, and we'll have your full 7-day forecast coming up in a few minutes. Amy?
Lots to talk about. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, today is Emancipation Day, recognizing the abolition of slavery across the British Empire in 1834. A flag raising took place at Province House to mark the day. Events and community gatherings were also held throughout Nova Scotia. This year's theme is Harboring Freedom, honoring the past, shaping the future.
Reminds us that emancipation was not the end of the story. The work of equity, dignity, and opportunity continues today for African Nova Scotians and people of African descent.
A flag raising was also held in Truro. Nova Scotia designated August 1st as Emancipation Day in 2021. Birds of prey have made a comfortable home at one Mineville woman's property, and she's opened her heart to the brood. Our eagle-eyed reporter Meg Campbell has the story.
You're so beautiful.
A family of bald eagles have been nesting on Linda Rix's property. She calls them Nana's boys. And the 80-year-old grandmother has embraced where the eagles have landed.
I like it here. Maybe you want to come in the house with Nan and live inside, do you? Can you cook?
4 years ago, they decided to move in, and they built a huge nest out back, which I'll show you. And that was 2022, and then in 2023, they raised one baby, and last year 2, and this year I was totally surprised. There were 3.
While Rix is busy with her 6 grandchildren and 7 acres of property, her enthusiasm soars for the eagles that share her home.
There they are, making their sound. They're talking to me. See, here's the nest right here, and one is flying over. But all the debris is right around here. There's an awful lot of it. And just look at the size of the sticks. Isn't that wonderful?
And Rix is also hoping to include her own hatchlings to help with eagle maintenance.
I'm hoping when the young decide to leave, if they do, I think they like it here, I'm going to have my 2 youngest grandchildren, Maya and Mitchell, come over before they get into school and help me clean this all up. Because who knows, I'm hoping the parents will come back and rebuild. Oh, I'm just learning so much about them. I love them. And they're so friendly because they've been on the ground. And they're used to me. I keep the radio on all the time in the garage. They're used to voices, music.
And now, as Rix's boys are learning to fly, she can't help but feel overflowing pride.
They've really graduated. They are flying now on the roof. They wake me at 5 in the morning on the roof making a noise. And they can fly now maybe to some of the really large high trees that are around. Yes.
So like your grandchildren, you're seeing them grow up.
I know, I love it, just love it. And you know what? It's really sad when I come home from town one day and I know they've gone. They've left.
Rix says she'll keep an eagle eye out for her feathered friends to return next spring. Meg Campbell, CBC News, Mineville.
Well, Cape Breton slang can be hard to understand for people from away, especially if you're just starting to learn English. But as Anna Rack reports, some Cape Bretoners want to make their slang more accessible.
How's she going by? In the Maritimes, people have a certain way of talking that is a little different than the rest of Canada. And in Cape Breton, it's really a part of people's identity. So I'm down here on the Sydney waterfront with a list of some Cape Bretonisms. Let's see if we can get some people to identify a few.
Get away with ya, biff, scoff.
Right smart.
I nevered.
Fill your boots. What's your father's name?
Biff. Maybe like bad. Okay. Scoff. I would say that's like scuff, like close to that, maybe.
Pogies, unemployment. Gee, yet no Jew. I always do this with my students. I teach EAL, and I'd say that, what's that mean? I say, did you eat yet? No, did you? And then I also add no twirly. No, too early.
Just up from the water at the Every Woman's Center, there was a free class in session, teaching newcomers the local expressions, idioms, and sayings.
If I was learning another language and there were colloquialisms, as in French, I would have a hard time understanding what they were actually saying. So we might get into a few and explain. We talk pretty quickly when we use the idioms that are typical for Cape Breton. And so maybe we'll slow down a bit and help them understand what we're saying.
Her goal is to have a fun discussion about idioms while making Cape Breton English more accessible. May Shu came to the session to feel more connected to the locals and to understand a bit more of Cape Breton English.
I think this kind of activities help me to integrate into the community. Of course, as a newcomer, I don't know the local people. I just have the friends in the university. So in this kind of activity, I know a lot of local people, and it's really good for me.
But where do these phrases come from? Well, some Cape Breton idioms are based on Newfoundland slang, and others have their origin from Gaelic language. I'm after a drink at the pub means I'm going for a drink at the pub. Using after in that way is influenced by Gaelic grammar. If you're from away, like I am, some of these sayings might have left you scratching your head. But that's just part of the charm of the island and the people on it. Anna Rack, CBC News, Sydney.
Beautiful Somerville Beach in Queens County. Ryan is up next.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia. Book your appointment today for free, confidential mental wellness support.
And Ryan is back with his full forecast. They say what? Timing is everything in life, and the weather's timed out pretty well. Some rain today, and then the weekend looks great.
Yeah, pretty much everybody had a few drops. Cumberland County, not so much. A couple of drops this morning in most of the North Shore. Cape Breton also not really getting much for, I don't think any for the northern part of Cape Breton, but southern parts maybe a few drops. But the southwest coast was the southwest corner of the province was one of the driest spots, and ended up with some totals there pretty close to 10 millimeters. So something for sure. And yeah, obviously everybody focused now on the weekend, and this, I'm sure, going to be a popular spot. It always is. Burnt Coat Head.
Beautiful.
Looks like high tide there right now. And yeah, that's going to be a popular spot for sure. Love these live shots. Thanks to Nova Scotia webcams for that. Let's have a look at what we're looking at in terms of those temperatures out there right now. So it's 19 degrees in Halifax. It's 24 in Kentville, 25 in Greenwood. That's our hot spot currently. That northeast flow keeping temps a bit cooler, Cape Breton towards the North Shore. And yes, as we look at those dew point values, you can see that it's, well, we've got dew point values still in the mid-teens. Starting to see that drier air creeping in, super dry across northern Cape Breton and into New Brunswick today. And that drier air will filter in and across the province overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning as the last of this system moves away. A couple of isolated showers actually today over Cumberland County, popping up in the highlands of Cumberland County. Now that low is going to be moving out, area of high pressure moving in, and this is a drier and cooler air mass, no question about that. Temperatures from the Great Lakes eastward, certainly high teens, low 20s. You can see where the warm air surging back into western parts of the country. We will tap into some of those warmer temperatures for next week, but it doesn't look like the humidity is going to be creeping back in anytime soon. So a little bit of good news there for folks who aren't a fan of the sticky stuff. Overnight lows tonight, some single digits on tap, and Edmundston in northwest New Brunswick will dip to as chilly as 5 degrees for overnight lows tonight. Fallish, dare I say. Just a reminder, it's coming sooner or later, so let's get out and enjoy all the summer we can as we mark, of course, August 1st today. Now, as we walk you through the overnight, you can see the skies clearing out. Absolutely terrific Saturday. Lots of sunshine. Bit of cloud cover kicking up into the afternoon. This model and a couple others picking up a couple of isolated showers developing over eastern PEI and into eastern mainland Nova Scotia. I mean, isolated is overstating it, but the possibility of that happening. Overall, though, it is going to be just super, super nice. 20 to 22 degrees, Cape Breton. Back into the eastern parts of the mainland, 21 to 23 degrees, those light winds. And note those water temperatures near 20 for the Northumberland Strait. So, yeah, maybe not quite as warm as you'd want in terms of the temperatures, but the water temps are toasty, and Sunday is going to be really nice along the North Shore. For the Atlantic coastline, temperatures 23, 24 degrees, not bad, and a very light sea breeze setting up for Saturday. This would be, if you're not a fan of the sea breeze, the better day along the Atlantic coastline is you will see here on Sunday. That southwest wind really kicks in. Keji, a beautiful spot for tomorrow, 25 degrees, 22 to 25 in through the valley, 21 from Digby, Yarmouth, and around to Shelburne. Now, as we look at the forecast for Sunday, note the arrows here indicating our winds coming in a little more pronounced from the southwest on Sunday. Sustained near 20, some gusts to 30, 40 kilometers per hour. Breeziest Cape Breton back more towards eastern parts of the mainland. And so, yes, we will be seeing temperatures on Sunday ranging between 25 to 27 for northern areas into most of Cape Breton, 22 to 24 along most of the Atlantic coastline. Cooler right in those onshore winds, so a more pronounced sea breeze for Sunday. Now for Monday, note the wind arrows will become lighter, and so not as pronounced sea breeze on Monday. Still a light southwesterly flow, but not as strong. And there's that front that is going to start to approach and bring us a chance for a shower more so into Tuesday. And the mugginess will creep up a little bit Monday night into Tuesday, but the muggy meter is almost flatlined here through the next 5-6 days, which is great news for those not a fan of the humidity. There's that chance for a shower, and yeah, we're going to have to start begging for rain again after the long weekend and into next week with a pretty dry stretch shaping up, but great for folks who are on vacation, Amy.
Yes, maybe me. All right, thanks for that, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, the Truro Golf Club is hosting the 51st annual Apex Invitational Golf Tournament, also known as the Black Masters. The 4-day event also acts as a homecoming in the town. CBC stopped by as the golfers hit the fairway.
I'm Wayne Talbot. I'm one of the organizing committee members. The tournament's going, this is the 51st year. I probably had 49 of them. I've been on the organizing committee for about 48 years. We started out with, 7 or 8 caddies playing. Then it gradually grew. We got to the point where we were taking 150 golfers. That was a bit too much because we couldn't get them off the course in time to get to the banquet. So now we've cut it back to 110, but it's filled every year. 2 hours after registration, we have to cut it off. It's that popular.
My name is Amaya Athil. I'm a PGA of Canada golf professional. I'm the regional director of Ontario with Golf Canada, and I'm also the founder of a group called Black Women Golfers. I don't think any other group or any other province can boast such a history. So I think it was important for us as a group of Black women to come out here and experience that history, be part of it, and to meet the communities that have paved the way for us to find our own space in golf. We've only played 9 and it was rough. I'm telling you, like, this course is challenging. So the greens are really fast, but you know what? Everybody's so easygoing. I think even if we struggle, everyone's so supportive. So it's been fantastic.
We actually call ourselves Ebony Golf, and we would like to get some women together of African Nova Scotian descent. I spent the first 15 years caddying for my husband, and then Lillian said, "Come on, Dana, let's golf." And so I've been golfing for 4 years now. They're amazing women. If you're interested in some camaraderie, if you're interested in just some sporting, something that you can get out of the house and get yourself involved, give us a call.
This is a lovely event. I'm so glad to be part of it, and it's really a homecoming, a lot more than a golf tournament. It's a homecoming. It's a chance to see friends that you haven't seen over the past year. So just an excellent weekend, and I think every Black Nova Scotia should have this on their social calendar.
Coming up, we catch up with some members of Team Nova Scotia before they head off to the Canada Games in St. John's. The Canada Games get underway 1 week from today in St. John's, Newfoundland. And for some insight into Team Nova Scotia, I'm joined by Kathy Burton, chef de mission, and 3 of the athletes. So you guys, first of all, I know you're very excited. Can you tell me your names and the sport you're going to be playing?
I'm Issa Hayward, and I'm going with the female box lacrosse team during the first week.
I'm Hayden Graves, and I'm competing in wrestling.
I'm Lily Blondin, and I'm going to be competing the first and second week for soccer and basketball.
All right, so what are you guys most looking forward to? I know you've been working really hard. What's the thing that excites you most?
I think just like the fact of like the whole team coming together, like it's a really big roster, so all the girls coming together and like having that time together and having that experience is just like something that we're always going to remember. And then just like it's an experience that lots of them haven't experienced before and like going away, so it's gonna be really fun and like I'm excited to share it with my girls.
What about you?
Competing against the best wrestlers in the country and making a bunch of new friends.
I've never been to a multi-sport event before, so watching other Nova Scotia athletes and cheering them on.
Right. And so much goes into getting ready for this. You know, the games are 2 weeks, but it's a lot of prep beforehand. Talk to me a bit about that.
Okay, so we have Team Nova Scotia has a mission staff, as do all provinces and territories across the country. So we've been meeting for a week, probably a year and a half now, and we've been working on how can we best support our coaches, managers, and of course our athletes who are the superstars of the games, so that we can kind of remove the noise, so to speak, and allow them to compete and be the best they can be in their game or in their competition. And also, how can we enhance the experience so when they leave, they will have had great new memories, lots of new friends, and a lot of new pins on their lanyards. Yeah.
How many games have you been to?
I've been to the games in a few different capacities. I've been a manager and a coach, both winter and summer, and I was chef de mission in 2019 in Red Deer, Alberta.
When it comes to medal hopes, you know, obviously you hope we win at every sport,
yeah.
But where are the best chances, do you think, for Team Nova Scotia?
We've had some local and national, international athletes compete just recently. We've had some success in canoe kayak, in sailing, athletics. Our soccer teams have both had a great season this year, and we've had some history of medals for the women's soccer program. So those areas for sure. We've lost our rowers this year. Rowing is not a Canada Games sport this year, but they would have obviously been probably a medal hopeful, but I am not counting anybody out. Our athletes and coaches and managers have worked so hard to be ready for this that we're really hopeful that there's some surprises or some information we don't know about some teams who may be hiding behind and being a surprise. The other piece to that is, and Izzy kind of mentioned it when she spoke, the games are individual sports, but we are one big team. So we are all working together to gather points. So every time our competitors step on the field, we're looking for them to grab flag points, they're called. And so in the last summer games in Niagara, we had the best showing we ever had, and we climbed up in our flag points. So it's really about improving on our last games as one big Team Nova Scotia.
Well, what kind of sacrifice goes into participating in something like this?
Well, it's years for coaches, managers, athletes. I would say these athletes probably have missed birthday parties and family events because training takes such a priority in their lives to prepare for this. We've had some athletes come out of Nova Scotia that you will recognize their names. The notables, obviously, Sid Crosby and Nate McKinnon from the Winter Games. Well, we've had Jake Schaffelberg, who's now succeeding on the field nationally, internationally. Sarah Mitten, a shot putter. So there's such a commitment that starts well before the games, and the sacrifices that they've made that will continue in sport afterwards.
All right, well, knowing the roster of great athletes that came before you guys, any pressure?
Just a little bit. This is only the second year that the female box lacrosse has been in the games, and it wasn't even supposed to be in until they argued it. So there is a little bit of pressure, and like wanting to be up there with the bigger provinces, that's definitely the pressure that we're going to be competing with.
Now, how much support do you have here at home? Do you have a lot of family and friends who've been rooting you on?
Oh yeah, a lot of family, and all my friends are super excited for me, and I'm really excited.
Besides the games themselves, what are you looking forward to the most?
I'm just looking forward to making memories with my teammates, and this is something that not everybody gets to do, so just taking that all in.
Well, we're going to be keeping an eye, of course, on all of this. So best of luck to everybody. Go Team Nova Scotia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the torch has arrived at the games. The flame is lit, and the Canada Games have almost begun. The torch relay wrapped up in St. John's today, and the CBC's Jenna Benchetrit followed along.
We're here at the Canada Games Torch Relay. It's the first time in nearly 50 years that St. John's has hosted the games. I've got the first torchbearer of the day right behind me.
The flame is carried through the city, passed from community members to local politicians to professional athletes. As one Olympic gold medalist told us, the games mark a career high for some. For others, they're just the beginning.
The Canada Games is such a unique event. It's very Canadian. And whether that's a stepping stone to bigger things in your athletic career or it's the pinnacle, it's an incredible event.
That sense of spirit continued along the harbor. For this Canada Games alumna, now a professional hockey player and torchbearer, the event is a homecoming.
When they asked me to come back and do this, it was kind of no-brainer. Immediately said yes. I think as long as I don't trip, stumble, we'll be good to go.
As thousands of young athletes and coaches descend on the city for the games, one organizer shared what she's looking forward to the most.
Just seeing them come and just the special look in their eyes and hoping that they can have their own personal best and create memories that will last a lifetime.
Among those celebrating its kickoff at Bannerman Park was this former field hockey player, who won a bronze medal at the 77 Games in St. John's. She had some advice for this year's competitors.
Just telling them, just go out, do your best, and everything will fall in place.
We started the day on Water Street. We're finishing it here at Bannerman Park. The torchbearers we spoke to were beaming with pride, so excited to be representing their province at this year's Canada Games. 48 years later, this is a full circle moment for the city of St. John's. Jenna Benchetrit, CBC News, St. John's.
Coming up, the deadline for a new trade deal between Canada and the United States has passed, and President Donald Trump has followed through on his threat to increase tariffs on Canada once again. And scientists say the insect that causes and spreads Lyme disease is showing up in places it didn't before. Welcome back. Canadian officials say they are not walking away from trade negotiations with the U.S. Talks will continue even though President Donald Trump made good on a threat to increase tariffs on some Canadian goods as of August 1st. David Thurton has the latest on where things stand and where negotiations could go from here.
With a key deadline passed behind closed doors in Ottawa and Washington, top officials continued the work trying to land a deal.
If yesterday afternoon that deal wasn't clearly on the table, then we'll continue to talk to the Americans.
More negotiations after Donald Trump made good on a threat.
Look, we like Canada. I love Canada. I have so many friends in Canada. But they've been very poorly led. They've been very, very poorly led. And all we want is fairness for our country.
Trump signed an executive order increasing the tariff on Canada from 25% to 35% effective Friday. The border tax applies to goods that are non-CUSMA compliant. The White House falsely claiming fentanyl and illicit drugs are flooding from Canada to the U.S. In a statement last night, the Prime Minister said the Canadian government is disappointed but remains committed to CUSMA. Mark Carney spent much of the day at his office, a day of meetings and briefings, amid questions whether there could be a call between him and Trump. But concern remains with sectors hard hit with the new and existing tariffs.
We've got the sectoral tariffs on Canadian automotive. That's got exports down 25 to 35%, depending on which car company. Those are real people's jobs.
Steel producers are calling for retaliation.
We're asking the government to take action against U.S. steel that we do make and to take that action in a significant and very timely way.
For his part, LeBlanc signaled action is coming.
Our focus is going to turn to what we need to do to ensure that key sectors of the Canadian economy, steel, aluminum, automobiles, lumber, are able to go through this difficult period.
For now, LeBlanc heads home with a split focus, supporting Canadian industry and securing a deal. David Thurton, CBC News, Ottawa.
Trump's tariffs have been particularly damaging to some sectors of the Canadian economy, but for many industries, tariffs have not been an issue. CBC News senior business correspondent Peter Armstrong breaks it down for us.
The vast majority of Canadian exports to the United States are not tariffed and won't be tariffed at this new higher rate. Canada's been able to carve out an exemption for any goods that are compliant under the Canada-US-Mexico free trade deal. The Bank of Canada found 95% of Canadian exports are exempt. And if you add up all of the exports to the United States, including all those exemptions, Canadian producers are only actually paying somewhere between 2.3 and 5% on average. And this change will only make that number slightly higher. Now, that's not to say there hasn't been damage to the Canadian economy. There has, obviously. Steel, aluminum, autos, lumber, they've been absolutely clobbered. But those tariffs are in a different basket, and they remain unchanged by this announcement.
Canada Post workers have entered their final day to vote on the Crown Corporation's latest contract offer. Voting is set to wrap up around 5 p.m. Eastern Time today, with results expected to be shared shortly afterwards. It's not clear, however, if the results will be made public. The union representing the roughly 5,500 Postal Service workers is urging its members to vote against the offer. If there is a no vote, the union says it will ask Canada Post to return to the bargaining table. It also says further strike or lockout actions could risk the government intervening again with back-to-work legislation or binding arbitration. A figure from a controversial chapter of Canadian history has died. A spokesperson confirms the passing of Cecile Dion, one of the famed Dion quintuplets. They were the first recorded quints to live beyond infancy, and born to an impoverished rural Ontario couple in the Depression, they were a sensation worldwide. But the happy narrative quickly turned dark. Ontario placed them under custodianship, citing fears of exploitation. Still, they were put on display. 3 million tourists would visit Quintland. As adults, their lives would be ruined by the attention. Memorial donations for Cecile Dion are requested for Kids Help Phone. Just one Dion quint, Annette, remains. Lyme disease is primarily caused and spread by ticks, and scientists say they're showing up in places they didn't before. As Jennifer Yoon tells us, Canadian researchers are turning to new methods to curb tick populations and their impact.
And I know it's not stylish.
Sacrificing fashion.
I put on some DEET or Icaridin.
Dousing yourself in DEET.
Mosquito repellent. It's a way of sampling systematically the environment.
All to study ticks without getting the diseases they carry.
The ticks are expanding their geographic range northwards and westwards.
With the changing climate, ticks are now showing up in places they never have before, and scientists racing to keep up. Several new research programs are studying new ways to curb ticks that have never been used before in Canada.
The more we can learn and understand the ecology of these tick-transmitted diseases, the better that will be.
One of the systems they're studying, curbing tick populations by making it harder for them to feed on animals. For example, luring deer to rollers soaked in tick-killing chemicals with the hope that'll limit the number of ticks spreading diseases.
You attract deer to feed with some grains or other food for the deer, and they put their heads in and feed, and they become treated.
Or rodents, putting bait into stations that contain tick-killing pesticides.
You're trying to fight nature, and nature evolves and moves.
Also increasing, tick-borne diseases, say infectious disease experts.
We continue to see more and more cases. We principally see people with anaplasmosis in the spring, but we do see Lyme disease in all throughout the year.
I like to think that we're smarter than ticks.
In the meantime, cover up, use DEET, and try to make changes to your outdoor spaces.
You can create like a sitting area on hardscaping surface. You can create clear pathways. You can also thin your vegetation, keep your grass short.
Elmia says a national system surveilling tick populations would be helpful.
I think it just goes down to public awareness.
When the ticks...
Because tick-borne illnesses can be managed, even prevented, as long as they're caught and treated early. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Mont-Saint-Bruno, Quebec.
New numbers show Gen Z, the youngest generation that can invest money in Canada, is doing so more than all other Canadians. Michelle Song with what's driving this financially savvy age group.
She's been posting videos for I think close to 5 years now.
23-year-old Arvin Farshad set up a tax-free savings account after watching influencers talk about it online.
They don't teach this type of stuff in school. They don't teach anything about TFSA or personal finances in school.
Farshad is part of Gen Z, people currently between the ages of 13 and 29. 68% of Canadian Gen Zers are investing consistently each year, at least 5% more than any other age group, according to a TD Bank survey.
They're the first generation that's really been truly immersed in social media. So for them, accessing information is second nature. I also think that this is a generation that's internalized some of the mistakes that other generations have made in the past.
I pay zero bank fees for my... This content creator is one of many influencers giving financial advice on social media.
It's done in a way that is easier to digest and understand, and concepts are broken down a little bit more, and it's not this huge overwhelming task.
Young Canadians are turning to investing in the face of skyrocketing housing prices and a tough job market. Many are living at home longer and taking advantage of easy access investment tools.
Gen Z is kind of holding out saying, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to put my liquidity and my wealth in investment accounts where I can control it. And at least I can actually have some sort of say in what happens in my future.
I've said this before and I'll say it again, but building wealth is actually really simple.
With so many influencers, not all advice is good advice. But Farshad thinks he's found the right information to secure his future.
Nothing is guaranteed, even for jobs, the housing market. So if you have that money in the reserve just for you to pull out from, it's always good to have that.
Banking is no longer just about walking in. It's right here in your hand. And that convenience is making it easier than ever for people to save and invest on the go. Michelle Song, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, the internet is buzzing over the latest sighting of pop star Katy Perry and former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, this time at one of her concerts. Sarah Levitt now with the fireworks sparked by fans over this unexpected pairing.
Are we crazy?
something has Justin Trudeau smiling, but is it a budding romance with a singing star, as so many are wondering?
The new super couple is Katy Perry and former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
TMZ broke the news. The two were seen dining out on Sunday night in Montreal. Then on Tuesday night, Trudeau was front and center at Perry's concert. It caused an online furor of discussion and speculation.
This was actually a really great brand and reputational move.
This public relations agent says both Trudeau and Perry have seen some reputational damage in recent years. Trudeau, well, he's no longer prime minister after resigning amidst plunging support for the Liberal Party, and Perry's album sales have gone down with each subsequent release. Her stint as a would-be astronaut with Jeff Bezos' Blue Origins fizzled. Many called it tone-deaf.
It makes her brand feel a bit more grounded. And then for him, I feel, makes him look a bit cooler.
Online, the internet is doing its thing as people poke fun at the interest over the maybe couple. Happened to bike by the historic site of Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau's first date. And in a clearly photoshopped pic, Justin Trudeau was spotted having dinner with Katy Perry? Big deal. Jean Chrétien is dating Dua Lipa. Who cares? The Trudeau family is no stranger to celebrity. Pierre Trudeau, while still a bachelor, made international headlines by dating Barbra Streisand. So is this a midlife teenage dream for Trudeau and Perry? She has a Friday night concert in Quebec City, and many will be watching closely to see if they're together again. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia. Book your appointment today for free, confidential mental wellness support.
I kind of feel like I owe you a thank you card or, you know, a cup of coffee or something. That forecast is looking pretty good.
Pretty good, especially if you're heading off for a few days off.
Yeah, a little staycation around the province.
Yeah, and it looks absolutely dynamite for sure. Have a look at our viewer picture of the day. Speaking of dynamite, this is another beautiful shot. Crystal Crescent Beach. Now, I think there's going to be a few folks in the water here.
Absolutely.
Especially on Sunday and then
Although the
Monday.
water can be cold there.
Yeah, well, yes, for sure. Sandy Johnson with this great picture, and absolutely along the Atlantic coastline. If you're looking for to get cooled down, usually this beach and many others along that Atlantic coastline will provide it. Have a look at Saturday's forecast. So temperatures 21 to 25 across the mainland. Temperatures high teens, low 20s across Cape Breton. Those light winds in place for Saturday. It's just really going to be a great day. Sunday, we're going to turn the thermostat up, especially for inland and northern areas of the province. It's a southerly flow on Sunday, keeping temperatures in the 22 to 24 range. Closer to the coastline, it'll be even a little bit cooler than that. Let's walk you through the timeline just to show you what we're watching for Monday. So a few showers in New Brunswick Saturday night, and then again on Sunday if you're going to be traveling this weekend. But it's the front that approaches then for Monday. You can see it flirting with the Amherst area, the Nova Scotia New Brunswick border by Monday evening. Keeping it out of the forecast though until Tuesday, when that front will bring the potential for a shower for Tuesday afternoon, but otherwise very quiet. Enjoy.
It's looking good for sure. Okay, like most boxing matches, a recent one in China featured jabs, hooks, and crosses, but it doesn't look the way you might think. Humanoid robots in headgear traded powerful punches at the 2025 World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai. They were controlled remotely by operators outside the ring, and like their human counterparts, these boxers demonstrated great agility and balance, and punches and kicks and recoveries from falls.
It was of the most eye-catching displays at the conference, but there were many other robot demonstrations. Mahjong players, dancers, and musicians also performed.
Spooky.
Yeah.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.